So I'm going to pull up LiveView. I'm first going to turn my screen on quickly, and I'm going to switch to the other camera here to show you guys that we have a real ReadyEdge up and running, and to show you how some of this works. So I'm going to mute this for now, but we'll bring it back if we can see some of these lights turn on and off as we make some decisions here. Okay, so this is that system in my lab here, live and online. So we're going to show you first. Let's start at the beginning. You get your ReadyEdge, you unbox it, you plug it in. The first thing you're going to do is it's going to ask you to create a password, and then you're going to log into that. And then you are going to update your unit because we're constantly updating this. It's still a new product, so definitely check for new firmware, go through that process to make sure that you have the most recent features. And then running over the front screen here, we see in my demo system here, I'm monitoring lithium battery, my Deca duration. I also have a supply voltage that I use for auxiliary charging and to set up other, just to plug in equipment when I need it. And I also have a solar sense here. I just plugged in a little 5-volt solar panel, and you can use this as kind of an irradiance sensor, or in this case, just for kind of fun. We have the battery voltage from the voltage input, and then we have a couple temperature sensors, one that's just sitting out in the air. It's 19.4 in this room, but on my light that I'm running, it's getting up to 27. So we can see how these vary over time. I'll show you that. We have our AC detect sensor. All the information is here. Connected products, I'll jump to in a minute. And our digital inputs. And we have one alert here. And we'll clear that alert and we'll see it comes back. And I'll show you why that is in a minute. Also errors, faults, and alarms. All the basic information you need as a technician is here. And then you can go ahead and click on the connected product. Green check mark means it's good. And we can see all the details here. The basic battery voltage, and then we can go and get more detailed information analytics. So you're getting this thing set up for the first time. I want to show you quickly SolarConnect here. So you do want to come in, make sure your time servers are set, and then go into network, and then here's where we can enable SolarConnect. So you have to enable SolarConnect for security reasons. And you get a claim code, create an account at SolarConnect, and then you're good to go. We'll jump back to this in a minute. We have a history tab with some interesting information. And then the daily records table that you've come to get used to with us is all here. So this includes all of the data that is the I/O of the ReadyEdge and its associated Ready blocks that are attached to it. Tank levels, voltages, min maxes, all of that stuff. Soon in the future, we are going to have all of this available for the connected products as well, similar to the EMC1. If you're familiar with that product, you can download the data. It tells you how many days are logged. Everything is pretty simple and easy here. We also have the event log that you may not use too often unless you're running into some tech support issues. But it does tell you everything that happens. A digital alert was triggered. When did it happen? What was, which channels it was, et cetera, et cetera. I was rewiring some stuff this morning, so I know that my RTS was disconnected for a few minutes. And that's really good information to be able to look through and see if things aren't working the way that you expect. And then we have our counters, which if again, as you get more familiar with our products, you find the value in these, knowing how many amp hours went in and out of the battery or the shunts, as well as what charge stages and how long we were in absorption or float, really gives us some good information to provide detailed analytics. So this information is now much easier to access. And since it's easier to access, now we can start focusing, especially in future webinars, on how to use that data to see what's happening with your system and to plan for the right amount of visits at the right times, as well as update or upgrade systems as those batteries age and get older. Moving on, we have a settings tab up at the top here. It is what it sounds like. It gives you all the information at a glance, along with some hyperlinks, your IPs, things like that. And then we have the command tab. So I'll quickly here I can, if we jump back to live view, we see relay 1 is on and relay 2 is off. So we can, we also see digital input 4 is on right now. So if we go back to commands, I can swap these and we can see some changes happening. So this is in a control mode if you want to manually control some things. So now we see that digital input 4 went off. Our statuses here have changed. And there's different things we can do with that I'll show you as well. You can also reboot the control, turn on and off your generator on this tab, and reset your counters. And then we go into setup. Again, make sure you unlock to get into some of these advanced features. We have our admin, administrator password reset, our date and time, which you do want to get set up properly. Try to use time servers, especially if you have to with SolarConnect. And then that really makes sure that you're seeing the data correctly. If you don't get this set up, well, everything is going to be off a little bit, and you don't necessarily know if it's daytime but cloudy or whether it's just nighttime, right? So it's important to get these things set up at the beginning. Our network settings are all here. The information you can change, you can get out of DHCP and use static IPs, obviously, if you want. Set up your Modbus. That bridging Modbus to 45 that I discussed allows you to use third-party products, and then this becomes a 45 to Ethernet IP converter as well as everything else. Here's where you enable SolarConnect, which I discussed, and then all of our IP settings as well. Moving on quickly, SNMP, which will be a conversation for later. Suffice to say, we do have SNMP v3 on this product. And so if you're security conscious, that's important. It's here. You can set it up. Here's another way to get to our connected products where we set them up, which I showed you earlier. Easy to set up and make changes to your basic battery voltages and settings. Here's where we name our digital inputs and we choose. So I want to spend a minute on the alerting here. So we have active, inactive, or change. So alerting alerts you in SolarConnect, and then in the near future via email that something has happened. So you can choose to alert when the door is inactive because the door switch, when it's closed, it's shorted, right? So when it opens circuits, we're going to make an alert, and then we don't want to clear that alert in this case because we want to know that somebody opened the door. Whereas with water level, for example, we want to get an alert if the water level is low, but we do want to clear that alert if the water fills back up because the pump system is working. But if it doesn't fill back up, then we still see that active alert and SolarConnect, which I'll show you. For time, we'll shortcut through these. You can label your DC inputs. Here's where you set up your tank sensor, and you can label your remote temperature sensors as well. Here's where you set up your output. That 12-volt output I said could be on, off, or you can set it up as the signal for your generator controller. And then here's where we set up our battery info. Battery amp hour size and efficiency of your battery is important for getting your SOC right when you're using a ready shunt. And if you're using a ready BMS, here's where you choose your BMS profile. And by going between these profiles, you're going to be able to find something that works with virtually any battery. The Morningstar profile specifically was designed to be very generic and basic so that it interfaces with almost any battery to get that SOC for you. Scheduling is important for it's a whole thing, but suffice to say, I'll show you quickly how to set up that modem to restart once a week. So here we have it called modem. We have it set at relay 2B. On Sunday, it's going to turn off at 9 and it's going to turn back on at 9:01. So you've essentially implemented a weekly reboot to make sure that you don't get too much runtime on that modem so that it doesn't crash on you when you don't expect it. There's so much to do with scheduling, especially with AGS and other things, that it's a topic for later. And then here's where we set up the ready blocks. You guys have already seen a lot of this. We can name them. We can choose the shunt ratings. We have 2 channels. We can choose whether it's a net shunt, monitoring everything in and out of the battery, whether it's a monitor, or none is also kind of like a monitor. We can get into those details in another webinar as well. But they're, depending on some of the specific aspects and complexity of your system, you may use none or monitor in addition to a net shunt. And then here's where we set up the basic information on our relays. So quickly, I'll go from command schedule to threshold to show you how I can say if my battery voltage is low, then turn on that relay, and if it comes back above that set voltage, then turn back off. There's a lot of options here, which leads me to wanting to point out quickly that on our website, we have a demo of this. You can play with a virtual ReadyEdge exactly like you see me doing here without buying one. So you can see what features there are. You can mess around with the settings, and you can see what is possible for you and come up with some ideas. I think that's very important. AGS, this is our generator control system. Again, a subject for a later, for another webinar. So when you moving on to SolarConnect, a web-based IoT service, you're going to come to solarconnect.morningstarcorp.com. You're going to create an account, verify it, blah, 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 and then you're going to log in. And then you're going to add your device, clicking this button. There's that claim code I mentioned earlier, and then you get to name it, and then you're good to go. On this site, we have a couple systems, so I'm going to go to the one that we've been looking at in LiveView. This is the same system. We see the door, the water level, the DECA, the digital inputs. We see that alert that I was talking about. The water level is low right now. And then we see the remote temperature sensors. All the same data that's available in LiveView is here. And then in addition, we have some historical data. We can look at how the temperature in this room varies over time. Room temperature, see it gets warmer when I come in the morning and turn on the heater. Fun stuff. And a lot of these features here are still basic, and we're working on them constantly. So if you have ideas or you want to suggest something, please reach out to us. Just to continue on with device information, we have the basic ReadyEdge information, the added Ready Blocks information, and our SunSaver MPPT. We can click on that to get all of its current status information, as well as active faults and alarms. You know, the SolarConnect is really meant to be a fleet monitoring tool. So once you get set up, you can invite the other members of your organization or team. You can manage their roles, be it maybe they're able to add other people, or maybe they're able to actually add or subtract devices, whether a technical user or an organizational administrator. You can see what the status of these are and see who's been active. We also have site management. So within SolarConnect, we have sites, and you can have many sites in your organization. And in the sites, you can have different assets. And an asset could be a ReadyEdge or multiple ReadyEdges or GenStar at this point. And then within the ReadyEdges, you can have other connected devices. That could be the SunSaver or the ProStar or the TriStar, right? And all of these are completely modifiable and settable. You can come into the site, you can name it, put its location in. That could be address or coordinates. And then you can choose the asset. So in this case, we do not have this other ReadyEdge added, so I'll add it to the site. So there we go. Now this site has 3 devices instead of the other ones. So, and then account settings as well. So fleet monitoring, you can see all of your information at a glance when you come to the first page. You can see any notifications at the top, how many devices are connected, which ones are disconnected, all really important information for at a glance seeing what the status of your system is. So, and that is SolarConnect.